such an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I appreciate being here. And thank you both, Sonia as well, for organizing this talk today. And it's my pleasure to be here
Great.
and kind of share my experience of self realization, enlightenment. And I'm here to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
I have so many questions.
That's fine.
So perfect. So here's, as I shared with you before, when I was asked to do this interview with you, I did a little research and on the internet, looking into your book and some of the lectures that you had given. And I was immediately, before even reading one word, uh, I felt this energy. If I were to equate it to a picture, it's like snow-capped white, rocky mountains. It's so pure, celestial, like just like high, high level, high vibration, crisp. And so I felt the energy. It was like almost coming from below the words. So, there's the words on the paper, right? And you can read those and understand those. But on a deeper level, my soul understood your intention beneath the words.
Well, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, it was incredible. And then I realized how lucky and what a unique opportunity this ability to interview you is for me, because I also, like most of the people watching, I'm also looking for that deeper nourishment for my soul. And that's not dependent on another person, money, job, romance, like, right? All that nourishment has all kind of, for me anyway, been a little tainted. And I'm looking for that ultimate comfort
I understand.
of, yeah, the integration of
Yeah.
my spirit and my soul and my body and all of these things. So, and that was just from reading, not even reading a word, just looking at your text. I realized
I'm
that
so
there was
pleased
some
to hear
hope
that.
for me.
Yeah, I'm so pleased to hear that because actually that's why I do these talks and Q&A sessions with many people. Because these days a lot of people are into a search, what is enlightenment? What is self-realization is all about, actually, what is that experience entails? That's what people want to know. And my book, Home at Last, is helpful for a lot of people actually, because I had written my own experience of that, every bit of it in detail in this book.
Yeah.
Home at Last.
And what I understand too is in your own personal journey, there wasn't, a lot of previous enlightened beings on this planet, enlightened human beings, um, have done the rigorous training of like not eating and sleeping for 40 days and 40 nights, or, sitting under a tree for 6 years and, having a moment of illumination, not eating or sleeping or even breathing 21 days, like doing rigorous, kung fu, tai chi type of training. But it seems like, and that those are what you would describe as like a hard birth, right? Like a woman gives birth to a child. Some child's beautiful, but sometimes the birth is very hard and painful. Yours seemed like it was just like a lot smoother, a lot more gentle. Am I correct in that understanding?
Um, it's not so much gentle or smoother. It's like what people imagine self-realization is different from what you actually experience. That's what I wanted to make sure everybody understands. It is a messy business, self-realization. It's a process, it takes time for people. But people make up all these stories and cook up their heads. Oh, I got to starve myself, or I have to meditate 21 days without even eating anything. All these are misconceptions. They just create all these in their heads. None of them are true. You can just live your normal life still when it's your time. you will go through that process. Every one of us will eventually go through that experience. It all depends on where we are in our evolutionary journey. We're all moving forward, at certain pace, for example, evolving continuously. Every human is evolving to better and better. So it doesn't happen because you meditated X amount of years, or you sit in the tree with not eating, or leaving your homes and going to our caves and Himalayas. Nothing like that. It's not true. A lot of people seem to think that, which is not true. So I had written my way. When I will give you in a few minutes my overview of how I got into that. It just comes to you when it's your time. It just turns you around. There's this calling within you will take you to that point of knowing that you're ready to transcend, or this particular soul is ready to move and reconnect with the divine source. Tap into that divinity and reestablish your connection with divine. That thing, there's something that will unfold within you telling you that it's your time to do so. That's how it happened to me, you know? It's nothing I prepared, nothing I did, nothing I've been planning. It's almost like preordained for me. It's sort of something that I had left out, imposed on me to go into a different direction, and follow through. And I just listened to my insights. I just went and did whatever I'm supposed to. Yeah, it's difficult for me at the beginning, and it's difficult even the process, because I told you it's not something, it happens one, two, three. I'm enlightened. I'm in cloud nine. No, it's not like that. A lot of people thinks that, but no, it is a steady process, takes years. Mine took 8 years. Some people takes longer, some people take less. That's how it happens.
So do you feel like it's a matter of like a spiritual fertility in a way, like, or a piece of fruit that's, there's a process of like growing and ripening and, ready to consume.
Mhm.
And then also if you don't consume it at a certain time, then it starts to have its like,
No,
over maturation.
no, it's like this. Like we're all humans, we're all kind of evolving, and we have forgotten something that we should again reconnect and recognize, realize the essential nature of our inner source. We all are divine, actually. Human beings are the highest in evolution, where they are equipped with such a fine vibrations and such fine neurophysiology within us that entails us to transcend eventually, because that is the purpose of this existence. That is the ultimate process of human evolution. Every individual, every human will transcend when it is their time, not before, not after, or don't have to say, oh, my time is not now, therefore it's okay. That's true, it's okay, but we all will evolve eventually. It may not be this life, it may be next life, you know. We don't know exactly. It has something to do with that intervention with divine. He knows which soul is completed all the journey and evolved enough. It's like a ripe fruit from the tree falling off when it's
Yeah,
right time. It's when it's ripe enough, it falls off by itself. You don't have
yeah,
to you don't have to go pluck it. It just falls off. That means it's ready to be
yeah.
eaten, right? It's the same scenario with life. When
So
we are ready, we'll transcend.
I
We'll
love
connect
that.
back.
That takes a lot of the pressure off, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People shouldn't chase enlightenment, or people shouldn't worry about it, or stressed out. Oh, I want to get this self realization in this life. I got to do this. I got to do this. Don't worry so much. It
Yeah.
will live your life nice, proper, divine life that's given to you in best you can, and then eventually it'll happen to you.
Yeah,
That's what
so
I do.
I want to get into your story and then the story of how the book came about. But before we do, I have one question related to what we were just talking about. You know, because people, I think I'll say for myself, the longing, the seeking comes from, it's kind of like there's two ways. You can run away from a situation, right? Because you're afraid, or you can run toward a situation because it seems appealing. I think a lot of us are running toward our enlightenment, or what we imagine enlightenment is, to get away from suffering. So if a piece of fruit only falls when it's ready, how can, if someone's watching this and they're really suffering and they don't want to suffer anymore, their relationships aren't, you know, are taking more than they have, their job is difficult, they're not living their passion, like what are the steps, if enlightenment isn't the goal, how to bring yourself to greater integrity so that your life feels good again?
Well, there are a couple of ways to do that. I know suffering is part of life, you know, good, bad, they all happen to everybody, right? I mean, it's not something you can avoid. Life is challenges. Life is something that and there's a purpose for that. It's an experience, good or bad. We must go through. It teaches us a lesson, you know. Bad also is teaching us a lesson. People are forgetting that. It's a bad experience as you learn a lot from it and you fix yourself. I think that's what it is all about, this cosmic game of divine. That's what I call it. Life is like a cosmic game, you know, of divine. To see if we all are doing everything we're supposed to and experience everything we're supposed to. It's like as if divinity is experiencing how to be human, you know, going through the processes, going through challenges, and see how you handle. It's a test, more or less, you know, and that's how I feel. So it's like how good you sort of take care of yourself makes a difference. How good you do what you can with the body that's given to us, and to maintain it properly, and to develop yourself, and do some spiritual practices if you can, and try to reach out to divine in any way you can. Everything plays a part. That's what I'm saying, you know. So never ignore anything. Don't say, you know, well, geez, the enlightenment is not for me, or this is not for me. It's not going to happen to me right now, so I can do anything else. You got to take care of yourself. Don't indulge yourself in bad habits. Don't indulge yourself in thought processes that are sort of not in line with your way of being. You know, everything matters in life, and evolution demands change. You need to change the way you think, or the way we live our life a lot of times, to make it less painful, to make it less suffering. You know, we have to work at it. He gave us everything, all the equipment is there. So hey, put in your practice. Don't just ignore it and say, hey, God is going to take care of me. Don't leave it to him. God takes care of those that take care of you themselves. So I was very conscious of that every time, strangely, in this life. You know, I was always paying attention to what I eat, how I exercise, how I keep my body in fit, how I don't indulge myself overly in anything negative. You know what I'm saying? Could be too much alcohol, could be too much eating wrong food, anything. Everything matters. And that's how we have to live. That's how we have to be conscious of it. Maybe that will reduce us a little bit of less of a issue with the suffering for a lot of people, you know, because they don't know. They're not aware of all that. They're not taking good look at yourselves. They're not taking good look at themselves, you know. Yes, so what is it that I need to do with this? Don't ignore your body. It's very important how you live, how you take good care of it. Eat well, you know, eat proper food, and try to exercise, move the body around, do good exercise, take good care of the physical that's given to us by divine. Don't ignore it. That's what I say to everybody. I even teach that to my children. You know, try to take care of yourself from the beginning. Don't worry that you're getting sick in your old age. Then you won't get sick in old age if you take good care of it from the beginning. You know, I know a lot of people don't do that. They're not aware of all this, but at least be conscious of everything what you do. That's the best I can say. You know, don't you think? Don't you
Yeah,
think that?
so it seems, okay. Oh, go ahead.
No, I think that's a good way of living. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I agree. So it seems like almost, if you were a woman and you were pregnant, right? You wouldn't smoke, you wouldn't drink, you would do everything that you could to take care of this kind of
Life.
undeveloped life form as
Right.
it was growing and preparing for birth. So is that kind of similar to?
Yeah, exactly. That's how we have to be, even when we're not pregnant, we're not, even when we're not having a life inside of us, there is a life already. There is this essential nature called life that's within us. It's ticking every minute. It's like that vital energy is there within us, God-given life. And we need to take care of that. And he gave this so-called body, we are inside of that. Therefore, I always say this body is like a temple, you know, it's like divine is within us. And we have this, you take care of the temple, don't you? You don't let it destroy yourself, oh yeah, God is inside of the temple, therefore we don't have to worry about the outer part. You can't do that. You got to take care of the divines where he is situated. And we all have, every one of us has that divine essence within us. I think, we forgot about it. We created this thing called ego later. We shoved that essential nature of being away, and we developed this ego consciousness. That's the problem. That's why people forgotten that we are divine. We have this so-called self with a big S. Real self is your essential nature of being, you know? And we've forgotten that, and we created this ego self, and that we've started doing all sorts of things with it. We're just this, we're that, we're identifying with the ego consciousness. And that's not right, you know? And so in reality, self-realization is nothing but getting rid of ego consciousness and tapping back into the essential nature of your own self, essential nature. That's divine nature. And live that way. And that's what it's all about. If I must explain, and if I must define what is self-realization is all about, or enlightenment is all about, that's what it is. It's just we got off track, and we're putting back in the right track. The humans have to do that. We're not doing that until we start realizing that, and we function that way, and eventually we'll get there. We will get there eventually, sooner or later.
Hopefully in 2021. I'm rooting for us. I'm rooting for us. So that brings us to the book, Coming Home. So can you hold it
Home
up?
at last. Home at
Home at
last.
Last. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Home at Last. And so this is your journey, like the things that we're talking about now. Can you just share the essence or the spirit of, what you want to share, who you're writing, what you were trying to say when you were writing this to the people, right?
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to. Um, First, let me tell you, enlightenment, self-realization is not something I was planning on, I was looking for, or I was chasing at it. Nothing. I'm just as normal as anybody else living my life. I have a husband, I have 2 children, I'm a housewife as well, and I worked in pharmaceutical company for a long time, and I was happy. Everything was going much okay. But all of a sudden, there is this strangest thing happened to me. I didn't know what was going on. In spite of having everything, I was not happy. There's a shift in my consciousness, shift in my perception started taking place. And then I said, "What is going on? What is going on?" And by then I was meditating already, anyway. Because my husband had a heart attack, and for some reason I learned Reiki, and then the Reiki put me in meditation. Some reason I strangely I started meditating. Already I was meditating for a while, a couple of years then. And so when the shift had happened, there is an inner energy that's been dormant. A lot of think you must have heard that. It's called Kundalini energy, inner energy, we call it. And Easterners call it Kundalini energy, that got awakened. And a lot of people know about that. A lot of people say, oh, this one is awakened, that one is awakened. You know what that means is the Kundalini energy gets awakened. That means when one is ready to transcend, the inner energy gets awakened. And that is the sign number one, that individual, that soul is ready to reclaim its divinity with the source it comes from, which we have forgotten. In other words, we all come from divine consciousness, the totality of oneness, right? We all are created by that. So, but we have forgotten that, and we claim, we're somebody this, we're Sarada, we're Rebecca, we're this, we're that. We kind of introduced our own identity, forgetting that, So it's all kind of getting back to that again, and that's what happened to me. Finally, then what happened with that awakening? Then I got a lot of issues. Like I said, self-realization is a messy business. A lot of things happen to this physical. A lot of issues come about, pains, aches, because the whole system is vibrating continuously, because you got a little amount of energy to 100% of energy is awakened. And that's why the problems come about. People don't seem to know that. All the inner chakras, all the inner subtle energy centers are gotten haywired because they're used to so little vital energy to function. Our day-to-day work, this, that, eat, sleep, watch television, doesn't require much energy to begin with. But when this inner energy gets awakened, it's needed for the soul to go back and reconnect. And that's why it's awakened. It knows you're ready. And because of due to that, there's some issues come about, and there are all these problems with headaches and restlessness and stomach problems, not able to digest your food, you don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep, and the vibrations are going really terribly bad. That's what I went through for a while. But the solution is always pray God, or leave it to divine to settle all that by meditating. My meditations were so great. I meditated 1 or 2 hours, or in the night again, another 1 hour, 2 hours those days. I believed in divine so much that he will take care of all my issues. He will subside all the issues, which he did. The continuous meditations took me to a point where I was doing fine later on. And finally, that time came when I really was able to tap into that finest fabric of consciousness. That's what called enlightenment, when you really touch that universal consciousness, where that non-dual dimension, I call it, where there is no thing. It's just totality of oneness. And that's what I went into. Deeper and deeper meditations took me to that level of knowing and level of experiencing that unification with divine, where all creation springs from and everything goes back into, you know. So then you realize you're nothing but energy. That's what we are. We're really not this body, not this mind, not this physical to begin with. Divine is just energy, vibrational, finest, refined vibration, vibration with such a refined frequency. That's what I say. And, really, that's what we are actually. And that's what I experienced eventually. And once I had that, totally a different individual. Everything past goes away because your subtle energy centers cleanse all the negativity from all the birth, rebirth, and everything taken. God only knows how many births we all have. You believe in rebirth and you believe in past lives, right? We must have millions of lives. But one thing for sure, once you reconnect back to divine, there is no more rebirth. You don't have to come back in a form again, like this human form or animal form, or, the life is all creation is forms, different forms, trees, birds, insects, everything is a form. We're all evolving from one stage to another. And that part is all finished. because human is the highest where you can transcend. Like I said before, we have the equipment that's all aligned perfectly when we can transcend. That's why we have to meditate. And meditation is most direct and highest spiritual practice one can undertake. That will take you deeper, deeper levels of knowing, deeper, deeper levels by itself. No effort on your part. Meditation is the best way to reach self realization. That's what I wanted to make emphasize as well. And that's how I got in. And that's when, after that, I wrote this book, Home at Last. After I finished all my experience, of course, I got to tell you one more thing. Like I said, afterwards, from a normal perception of reality to a permanently altered perception of reality can bring up any amount of challenges. You know, you're used to being one way, and all of a sudden, everything's different now. Everything changed within you. Your whole system has changed. You know, your way of thinking changed. Your belief system is gone, and your past is gone. You know, so you have to be adjusting to all that. You have to integrate the change within you with the interactions from outer world. Has to go hand in hand. That takes many years again, a couple of years more, you know, because you're so restless, you don't want to be here anymore. You become, it's like a new birth, practically. New birth. New you has reborn. So you have to make sure you know, go back to your role you're playing. Could be a wife, a husband, what have you, with the kids. You have to adjust to them. Their way of thinking is going to be different, and our ways are different. But you know, you have to make the adjustment, not them, because they're evolving. Remember, I said everybody's evolving at a certain pace. They're not there yet, but you are. You transcended, so you have to make that effort and adjust yourself and sort of give in a lot of times. And even if you have to pretend you're okay, you have to make sure the everybody else is okay around you, and that's the hardest part for me. I
So I
had a
have a
sorry.
question. I have a question. So had you achieved this state of self-realization or self or enlightenment um, prior to your children becoming teenagers?
No, after my
Oh
kids.
yeah.
Yeah, they were much grown up and they were already out of the house. It's just me and my husband, you know, and this sudden shift taking place. Everything happened when I was working in pharmaceutical company. Actually, I was happy, but all of a sudden I didn't feel like working anymore. I didn't feel like doing anything anymore. You know, there's these things going on in my head. Why am I here in this world? What's going on? You know, well, what's the purpose? I lost interest in the world, what the world has to offer to me. I lost my desires. I lost my wants. I didn't feel like I want this, I want that. If somebody gave me $1 million home or a big car, I couldn't care less. That's how I became. Nothing mattered to me anymore. Nothing excited me anymore. That's the stage you go through when you're trying to turn around, to move. And only one thing, the drive and the thirst, was to reconnect back with divine. Reconnect. And that's why I meditated a lot those days. I was, my anxiousness, my drive, and my thirst was, I want to find out what it is like self realizing my divine essence, what it is like connecting back to the source. That curiosity took me up to the end by meditating a lot more than normal people would do. That's what happened. And then
So
after I finished, go ahead.
how
Go
would a
ahead and ask the question.
yeah, how would a person know that their fruit is almost ripe, that they're almost ready for this? Is it that listlessness, that apathy? Is that like a telltale sign that
Um,
you're?
no, I think that people would know because they would start losing interest a little bit, and they would know. Believe me, your insights will tell you when you're ready. You know, your insight will tell you The things I'm doing, I don't like it type of knowing comes to you. I want to do meditate more, or I want to do this particular spiritual practice more. I want to get into listening to some discourses that enlightened beings have given me, or I want to find a guru or teacher. These are the thoughts you'll start coming. Then you know you're very eager to get into that type of direction. You know, they will know. Everybody will know when you're ready. Believe me. I'm sure there's a way everybody will know. There's something starts unfolding, like I told you, within you that'll
Yeah.
take you there into a
So
different route.
if a person is at that point now and they have that sense or knowing, um, when they read your book, will they be able to, through your experience, begin to kind of know like what steps are next, like how to really kind of prepare themselves for this birth?
Exactly. That's why I was going to tell you. The reason I wrote this book, I never wrote a book in my life. I want to tell you one more thing about that. As if divine wanted me to write this experience of mine so I can help others. That was the intention for my writing the book. Like, we're all in it in the same boat, Rebecca. We're all going to end up in the same spot. So why not we do what we can? Whoever gets through that process, like me, I should help out in any way I can. That's why I do these talks, and I wrote the book to explain to people why they have to meditate, what it all does for them, what are some of the signposts that you will know when you're moving forward. you know it is to help others when they're struggling so much with different spiritual practices. Maybe they need to take care of their health first. Maybe they need to eat well. Maybe they need to do this. So I have all the details how to prepare yourself in that book.
Oh,
you
it's
know
like a checklist. I
yeah.
love it.
Exactly. And also, I wrote, what does it mean by self realization? What really happens to you within you? How do you vibrate? How do you vibrate these several energy centers? You heard of chakras, right? Within the system, we have 7 of them, the main ones, and they all start reacting, vibrating. And you can feel it in this body. But your body must be healthy and energetic and fit. That's why you need to take good care of the body, because you have to withstand all these issues that can come about later on. That's the warning. That's why I wrote everybody what to do for yourself. How do you take care of yourself? What you need to prepare yourself. There's so many signposts I had written in there that would be helpful for people. And also, they will understand what is that process. It does take time. It doesn't happen one, two, three. That's so there are a lot of things I had written in there. And
Oh,
so to be helpful, I wrote that book. Plus, Divine wanted me to write the book. He wrote it actually. Each chapter, when I was writing, I was moving in such a way for somebody that never written a book before. I knew exactly what to say, how to say, why I should say that. You know, in simple words, not a preaching or not like a philosophy. I'm not telling in that book. It's a straightforward, practical way of looking at it.
yeah, like I shared with you in the beginning, I haven't read the whole book all the way through yet, just because I haven't had the time. I found out just a few days ago that I was going to have this opportunity to talk with you. But what I did, open the book and begin to read a little bit, like I said, that energy, I could feel it before even I read the first word. There was some nourishment happening. It was like like a force field almost coming up from underneath of the words. So, I believe that, or I assume that connection that came through you, with you, to divine to write this book also gave you the words to tell people so they could understand it intellectually, but there's an energy underneath that perhaps will be that last boost to kind of move the energy in some way. Would you say that that's a process that would be accurate, or a description that would be accurate? Because there's something more than the words going on in this book.
Um,
There's a
in
medicine
ge-
also.
I don't know if I understood your question well, but I think enlightened beings, after the transcendence happens, okay, because of this inner energy we have abundance of energy. It vibrates all the time for me, even today. I live with that energy, the heat and the vibrations. I live with that. It becomes a habit of mine, as if it's a new person. I'm a new person. And that sort of vibrates out to whoever you're around, helps them actually. That particular energy field, it broadened than normal beings. You know what I'm saying? That haven't been realized yet. So that inner energy gives this tendency that is making comfortable the other people that are around me, for example. That's why when you say you felt that when you looked at my photos or whatever in my webpage, a lot of people say that, they can tell who is, has transcended and who, by looking at them sometimes. By being with me, a lot of people said that, they can feel the energy, or they can feel the some calmness around me. It makes them feel good too. That's why, if you notice, a lot of these teachers and gurus tell you self-realize, get enlightened. You will help the universe that way. You will help a lot of people around you. Imagine if everybody was self-realized. Just imagine 1 minute how the world would be at peace, how
Going to
wonderful the world would be,
would
with
be
no,
amazing.
yeah, with no hatred, no problems, no wars, no, list goes on. You know that, right?
Oh, I imagine it to be wonderful.
That's what it is. That's what it always helps you, and it's really good if we can help others in any way. By being transcending myself, I feel good to help my immediate family, better in a lot of ways, and even my friends and outside people. I love everybody now. There's a different feeling, because what you have within you is within everyone else. They just don't know yet. That's all. They haven't connected to that yet. They haven't tapped into it. But once they tap in, they'll realize that. That's what it's all about.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. And thank you so much. You donated, I believe it was 50 books to the Sedonya Conscious Living Center,
Yeah.
to share the energy of this awakening and this kind of like checklist and all things enlightenment. So thank you for that as well. And we'll find them very good homes.
Thank you. That's one thing I just want to say about that. I told Sonia that during this process, a lot of people, before they go into this kind of an experience, they connect with a lot of teachers or gurus, what they call, I happen to connect with one lady called Ama Karunamai. Her name is in this book as well. Her way of teachings, her discourses, her speaking, her looking at her, I kind of resonated with her. I loved her. And because it's the way I've been thinking, I've been, relating a lot of issues. And somehow her discourses, her teachings were really aligned very well with my way of doing. And every individual, some of them connect with somebody, individual tend to connect with teachers like that. This is an evolved, enlightened teacher, Ama. And I was glad I had connected with her. And I promised her, I dedicated my book to her, actually, when I wrote the book. She did a lot for me. She makes me, she listened to my problems, and she knew that I was going to transcend. She knew that I was, you know, reaching step at a time, higher and higher level of consciousness. So people like that are very rare, and you need to listen to them and follow their direction. They help you clean up your mess in somewhat. They don't give you enlightenment, but they will help you definitely in reaching to your point, your destination. And they're needed sometimes for some people. And so I connected with her in my latter journey. She even wrote a foreword in my book later after that.
Yeah, I
What she
saw.
what she saw in me when I first took her retreats and everything. I used to go. She lives in India. but she travels here as well. She comes 6 months here and 6 months in India, and she does a lot of uplifting human consciousness in many ways, through meditation or through ritualistic activities. Not everybody can meditate, by the way. It's difficult meditation,
So
so
can
for
I
those,
actually,
sorry.
Sarada? So our video froze. So can you pick it up again from she travels, uh, she's in India 6 months a year, she's in USA 6 months a
Sure.
year, and you would go to a retreat. That whole part, the whole thing was like choppy.
Okay, I was just saying, during my experience of self realization, I had also connected with a teacher called Ama Karunamai, and she is, I love her so much. She's my best friend even now. I support her humanitarian projects that she does. She helps a lot of poor people in India, and with hospitals and with the education for the people that are not able to go to schools and things like that. She does many of them. So I've been she wrote a foreword in the book as well about me when she first saw me, that she knew I was in the process of transcending. She knew that, and these beings know who's going to reach the destination in this life. She knew that. And I really was able to talk things over with her when I connected with her, what was going on in my process and everything. She helped me clarify a lot of issues and doubts that I had in my mind. So I really said to myself, she's my teacher, she's my guru, and I dedicated my book to her. And she any kind of a proceeds I make on the book, the money, whatever, I give to her, all the money, my part. I mean, I know my book is published by White Cloud Press. It's a commercial publisher. He takes his part, but whatever I get, I give all the amount to Ama, because she and I like together.
Yeah,
I
and
love
have
her,
the same
and she
vision and
she did
mission.
lot, and she helps a lot of humanity uplift their consciousness in many ways. She does meditation, she does ritualistic activities, she does even she does one-on-one talks with people if they're having trouble. She takes really, with love and affection, she takes good care of a lot of humanity.
Yeah, and she is quite active and quite well known too. Her efforts are really, I mean, people really
Yeah.
travel from far distances to have the chance to even be in the same room with her.
Exactly. And a lot of people, you can't even go near them. Some of the teachers, some of the gurus, that's one thing I liked about her. I could go to her face to face and ask her all the questions I needed, or I can talk to her openly, my issues those days when I was going through my problems, with the process. So it's a very interesting journey I had taken for 8 years, by the way. It took me 8 years to go through all this, step at a time. Something always would come, something always would do. But I kept meditating. Meditation is the only way you can reach the destination faster and most direct way.
Mm. Do you have techniques for how you like to meditate in your book?
Yeah, I do. The way I was doing it, I wrote it in my book, a chapter. It's called Raja Yoga. It's called Raja Yoga because it's all about focus, concentrate on that one pointed object in between your two eyes. This is where the command center is. This is where the one of the subtle energy centers reside that directs the whole system calming down.
This is a very
Thoughts.
important
Yeah,
point.
very. A lot of people focus on heart or someplace else, but my focus is always in that between two eyebrows, right here. Focus there. Pretend there's a lamp. Pretend there is a photo of somebody that you like, but focus there all the time. That's how I meditated. Eventually, that subsides all the thoughts. You become calmer without any effort on your part. Like I said, it will take off. it'll take you deeper and deeper and deeper levels of meditation. Silence, that quietude you will get, you will know then, you're moving forward with that. That's the technique I used, and it worked. And
Beautiful.
that
Well,
was that was also given to me by divine. I didn't plan on it. I didn't have a teacher. I didn't practice on it or anything. That method was given to me. It depends on all individual constitution, what you resonate with, what you're comfortable with. A lot of times, there are a million ways to meditate or a million ways to do spiritual practices, right? You can hear me? Hello? Can you hear me, Rebecca?
oh, it was a little like spotty again. So I think the internet is now, it's windy outside, so I'm wondering if the internet's now starting to become unstable. But so we'll just conclude, unless there's anything else that you want to share quickly before we have our next interruption of service.
All I want to say is it's like you asked me before, how would people know when they're going to be ready or something, you said, to self-realization. I think it all depends on how we live our life, it'll tell you eventually, it'll take you to a direction, makes a big difference. How you maintain yourself, how you live, play your role. You have to play your role, that God-given role. You could be a housewife, could be a career person, could be you're taking care of your parents. No matter what role you're playing, play it well. It will take you eventually into a direction and to your destination, And we do not need to chase enlightenment. It'll chase you when you're good and ready. That's what I say. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then that was spotty at the end, so I'll just do another kind of exit intro. Internet's being real weird right now. So thank you
If you
so
need
much.
me to come back anytime, let me know. Okay. And if you have any other questions, I'm open for that. And I thank Sonia one more time for organizing this, and for you, Rebecca, for coming and interviewing me as well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much for really like spending the time to share your wisdom and energy with myself and everyone who's attending the Alchemy of Love 2021 event via live or via internet as well. So it was really like my pleasure to talk to you, and we're just very honored that you're here with us. And yes, everyone, Home at Last.
Get a copy of that, please, and read it.
Yes, I'm about to dig into my copy.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. That's why I donated some copies to Sonia. I want as many people as possible to get a copy and read it.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again so much.
Thank you.
And I wish you the most beautiful New Year's holiday and the most beautiful 2021.
Same to you, Rebecca. Take care.